Welcome home, neighbors, to episode 240 of the My DVC Points podcast. We are doing a quick show today to discuss what did we learn from booking the Disneyland Hotel Tower today. So I'm going to come back in, and before we do this, I want to give a huge shout out of thanks over to Monera Financial. If you're looking to buy a DVC contract, especially Disneyland Tower, you can get financing as low as 9.9%, even on a direct contract from Monera. 9.9 may sound like a lot to a lot of you, but believe it or not, the most can charge up to 18%. So, Monera Financial, check them out, see if they can have a rate offering that works for your family. They've got credit check, no credit check, various different financial models there. Check them out and let them know you heard about them here at the My DVC Points podcast. And my name is Chad, and I am going to host this tonight. And before we do that, I want to come back in and welcome a co-host to the show, Miss Samantha Canner from DCL Duo.
Hello, Chad, and good morning, actually. It's only almost 8:30 in the morning here, West Coast time. I know it's midday for you on the East Coast, but hello, and thanks for all your help this morning. We were up early, at least at West Coast time, in order to call member services at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. So I think we've kind of learned quite a bit today.
Yeah, we have. And what we want to do is just a quick show to learn what we booked, because this last week we did a speculation show on Disneyland Tower and what it was going to offer. And the first thing that we have nailed down is there's definitely going to be three views in this resort: Garden View, Preferred, and Standard. And what I thought was crazy, unless I got my comments and notes mixed up, because this was early this morning, but when I looked at the pod studios for opening night, it was $559.50 with tax for Preferred and $655 for Garden View.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, we would all think that Preferred, just given its name, that would be the highest level. I know on the show the other night, you all were talking about the speculation that maybe there would just be a Standard and a Preferred. Now we know there's not just Standard and Preferred, there's Standard, Preferred, and Garden. But I think you and I would have both thought, oh, Garden's probably a mid-level, above Standard but below Preferred. But that's not what we learned this morning. So that'll be super interesting to see how that all shakes out, whether people like these Garden studios or not, and what they actually look at, what they look like.
Yeah, and this was just a sample size of one call with one agent. So he could have been misunderstanding, but I could swear I double checked that, because were you on the call at that point in time, Sam?
I think that I had left right at that point. I had left when you started asking about the Duo studio, and so I think that discussion happened after.
Okay.
But I do remember he was talking that there were three different categories, and which one did we want when we were booking our deluxe studios for opening weekend.
Got it. Because the way this worked is I work on IVRs for a living. So because I test these all day long, I know how to rope drop through. And I thought I wrote up a decent strategy for you, Sam, and other people, but
you did. It was, I would say there was one question mark, right, that we didn't know ahead of calling, which was whether or not you pressed 1 for just regular bookings or pressed 2 for cash reservations. And I chose option 1. And the reason I chose option 1 is we know there are more call takers on option 1 than there typically are on option 2. And we figured that they would have everybody dispensed today to be able to book those cash days.
Yep.
But we were wrong about that. So I said we, meaning Brian and I, were wrong about that. And so you had to press 2 for the cash reservations. If you didn't, you did get directed to a cast member, but then that cast member said, I've got to transfer you over. And then that puts you back at the end of the queue. So Brian and I both got in super quickly. I ended up hanging up my call once he got through, but then he got transferred. And when he got transferred, his hold time went to 120 something minutes. So by that time, you were already on with a cast member and were able to conference this in. Since we were booking the same weekend, it all worked out really nicely.
Yeah. And I think the moral of this story gets into do your research ahead of time as to how to zip through the IVR. and use a buddy system with multiple people calling on these deals. Because this is the second time that I've been able to zip through, get somebody, and conference you guys in to help you guys get a room booked. We did the exact same trick when it came to booking the Wish. And I believe there's probably some member cruises coming up in the future that you guys will be wanting to do the same thing for, especially because we know there's new ships coming out and everybody's going to go gaga crazy over it. So it's a good trick to have is to come back in and do this. But
Absolutely. And practice ahead of time. I mean, even though you aren't going to be able to do that booking before it opens, you can actually practice going through those menus so that you know the timing of when to press one or when to press two or whatnot. And when you actually have to listen to the welcome message, which does occur at one point during the call.
yeah, and what she's referring to is some messages are forced announcements, meaning you have to listen to it. Pressing a button does not get you through it. And others will start listening for what keystroke you're going to hit as soon as it starts to speak. And so through trial and error there, I kind of mapped it all out. And yeah, so
It's good to have a chat. It's good to have a chat in your corner.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's the
So
lesson.
I think I'll probably paste those little tips over in the Patreon group as well, just because it's some really extra special inside research to do. But so we got our 3 views, and then the other thing that we have figured out was the Grand Villa was not bookable that night because that's the first thing I went for, and apparently I would bet the DVC executives took the cash room for themselves and they
Yep.
left the second Grand Villa there for dog and pony shows.
Oh, yeah. They're gonna have to have some rooms open for touring. They're gonna have to have them for well, frankly, for sales, right? For DVC point sales, they'll wanna have some rooms open so that they can, show people around and show them why they wanna buy, 300 points, even though they won't be able to
Yeah.
use their AP on the weekends they book for.
Yeah, and I was able to get a 2-bedroom standard booked, and it was $2387.97 for one night.
Ouch.
Like you, and if they stick to this 4 p.m. check-in time, you won't even be able to get a full 24 hours in there. So that's
Yeah.
like more than $100 an hour
Oh, gosh.
to have that room. Like
Yeah.
it's dang.
Yeah, these rates for at least for opening weekend. Now we're Chad and I are gonna speculate a little bit that opening weekend is higher than other dates just by looking at what some other
Mhm.
folks had sort of asked about as far as dates and rates. But these rates overall are high. These are Grand
Yeah.
Cal type rates. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we're coming back in. And then so let's see, our studio was $872 per night for the first 3 nights. And I know you booked one for 3 nights. I booked one for 3 nights. And yeah, holy cow. Like we're definitely doing a listener meetup there that weekend. And Sam, we'll probably invite your crew and everybody's to come back in, whoever wants to hang out.
Yeah, it'll be super fun. Hopefully, there might be some special festivities for the opening weekend. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. Maybe there'll be a special gift or something. I guess we'll see. I don't know what will
Mhm.
be sort of open to the public versus what will be, DVC execs and special people only. But hopefully, there'll be some special stuff going on at the hotel.
Yeah, and then we've also learned a little bit as well from our Disneyland Tower Hotel group that we started. And let me come back in and add this onto this stream here, and we'll take a peek. And
Yeah, this was super helpful because we had a member of this group who had asked for rates for various dates this fall, and they're here on the screen now. You can see the Duo Studio rate for September 28th, which is the first night, so opening
yep,
night is higher, 655, but then less than a month later, it's at 551, and we know that Gina booked for October 22nd and got a rate of 370 for that same Duo
yeah. So I
Studio.
think if we look down here, there's a bunch of more comments in here, and you guys are welcome to join this group as well. And the group name is right now it's Disneyland Hotel. Me, let me try to kill this here.
Disneyland Hotel DVC Tower
Tower
Owners.
owners, right?
Yeah.
And we need to rename that. we'll start a post in there to rename the group. But yeah. And but feel free to join it, and you can read all of these comments as well. But I love this comment. Thank you. I just hung up. They tout how DVC saves you money on hotel rooms, but gouges you on a cash stay. I
Which
think
is
that's,
funny. That's the whole point of DVC, right? We don't want to pay for cash days. That's why we've all bought into
yeah,
DVC. We just kind of are stuck right now because they're not selling the points and we can't use our other points to book yet, right? So we'll hopefully when they open up the points the point sheet, we'll know what this is actually going to cost for those of us who are,
yeah, no
DVC
kidding.
owners. Yeah.
But like, here's a Hyatt, probably right nearby, 170 a night, which was pretty darn good compared to what we were paying. But Gina's saying she got through. There's her 370 a night post for the pod studio. And yeah, so very, very, very cool there. And the studio sleeps 4 on this comment.
Yep. And the duo studio, the one that Chad's calling the pod, it only sleeps 2. So this is like those Riviera Tower studios. There are only 2 people
Yeah,
that can fit in that room. If you call it the pod, the cast member won't know what you're talking about. We had to be clarify. We were asking about the duo. So that's what they're
that's
calling
right.
it.
Yeah, because they switched the naming convention over there, which I don't get. That just confuses everybody.
Yep.
Like, why?
I know.
Yeah,
It's silly.
yeah. But anyways, we learned a lot this morning. We clarified some of our questions from this weekend. We want to do a quick show to share with everybody, and then kind of like look for comments as well.
Yeah. Oh, there
And
is one detail that we haven't mentioned yet, Chad, which is when you can book cash stays for right now. Right now, cash stays are only open through a start date of December 31st. And then the maximum you could book is 7 nights. If you book December 31st, you can technically book until January
yep.
6th, but you can't book a start date past December 31st. So if you're looking for 2024 bookings, they are not yet available.
And I think that's because they don't know what they're going to sell, because they're trying to sell these as DVC points. And the more points that they sell, the more cash inventory they have to shrink down. So I think they're just taking it on the safe side and saying, hey, we're going to put these limited amount of rooms up here from our initial declaration of points. And as we sell more points, cash stays will go down, and then they'll open them more back up for members. But this was a unique deal. We'll start to see what happens and follow this all the way through when points go on sale and members can start to book. I know, Sam, you guys are definitely there trying to buy more points. I'm going to try as well. I don't know, but we'll see. I'd love to be able to come back in and own some points over here at Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah, I think for the West Coasters like us, it's just kind of a no-brainer. We go to Disneyland enough. We don't have enough points at Grand Cal. And even when we have our points at Grand Cal, we can't always use them for what we want to use them for because there's such limited inventory. So I think it's really a no-brainer that we're going to want that 11-month booking window, and we're going to need to have direct points at the Disneyland Hotel Tower.
Yeah, to me, if you're a West Coast Disney fan, this is a no-brainer. Like, I don't care about resale restrictions that are going to be on this. There's only 2 resorts there. Grand Cal has performed spectacular on resale. They can't drain another swamp in Anaheim and pop up another tower. So I'm all in. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they'd have to buy like a Hyatt or a Marriott and rebrand it. That's really the only alternative they've got.
Yeah. I mean, we're even like limited as to how many parking lots we can buy, because they've kind of bought them all up and convert to a tower and park people off site as well. And yeah. And Tim was saying here, I was in at the beginning and for a while, but living in Massachusetts on the East Coast, I really won't be there often enough. So I think you might be out. And Tim, that's where I would look at it and I go, but if you're going to go to Disneyland every 3 years, I would still pick up a 50-pointer or whatever they'll sell us there, because that gives you 150 points to play with. And you can always use them Walt Disney World when they're direct. And you know what I'm saying? It's like it's kind of a pretty safe bet to do.
Yeah. And you can always rent them out if you aren't going to use them, on either coast.
Yeah.
That's, there's not a bad value to hold on to them and, maybe rent out 50 points if you can't use 50 of those points.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point because Grand Cal rents exceptionally well right now as
Yep.
well. And if these are going to be the cash rates and these cash rates are going to be hanging with what Grand Cal has, point rentals will probably be a pretty good deal. Now, we don't know what the point charts are going to be, but I'm now updating my expectations that the point charts will be more similar to Grand Cal than they will Riviera.
Yeah, I agree.
That's kind of where my expectations are now after looking at what they've done with cash rates. So we'll see. We'll keep covering things as they come out, and I'm really excited to be doing this. And as always, Sam, I love you guys over at DCL Duo, and I can't have enough great stuff working with you guys, and it's always a pleasure. So
Same. Thanks so much for having me on this morning. This has been super fun. A little bit of a crazy morning, but we always love being on your show, supporting your show, watching your show. Sunday night's episode, if people haven't watched it, was fantastic. Super great information, speculating about what points are going to look like and what this hotel tower is going to look like. So some great information over there as well.
yeah. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and a huge shout out of thanks to our season 9 sponsors over at World of DVC, DVC Rental Store, Monera Financial, and DVC Resale Market. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully you learned a little something in today's quick show to go out there and plan something magical for your family. Have a great night, everybody.